CTV News at 5 with Hudson Mack.
Well, whether you have a job or not, the cost of living for you on Vancouver Island went up today. There was a big jump in the price of gasoline in Greater Victoria, 19 cents per litre in one fell swoop. Shell and Petro-Canada stations were the first to go over the noon hour, jumping from $1.15.9 to $1.34.9 per litre. That means that a 40-litre tank of gas will cost you about $8 more tonight than it did this morning. We did find some stations holding out in the $1.15 to $1.17 range, and the prices are lower in some places elsewhere on the island. There were some lineups at the places that had not yet changed their prices. To find the lowest gas prices in your area, go to victoriagasprices.com. Well, police across British Columbia are changing the way they catch car thieves in the act. The province announced changes to the bait car program today by adding a new trap. For a decade, the bait car program has used vehicles planted with video cameras, GPS systems, and remote ignition locks to stop thieves from stealing vehicles. But today the government says it's making a move to catch the smash and grab crooks who don't intend to steal the car, just what's inside. The Justice Minister says the number of auto crime-related cases is on the decline, although certainly not in Greater Victoria, but the province needs to keep its program relevant to keep that up.
We wanted to tackle the issue of property within the vehicle. But there's another message here too. All of us have to take some personal responsibility, because if you look at the kinds of things that are on the table today, it's pretty easy to hop out of your car and leave your iPad or laptop sitting on the seat beside you. That is just an invitation. So we're doing our part by expanding the impact program and looking at bait property. But everyone has a personal responsibility as well.
There's been a big spike in thefts from vehicles and auto break-ins in Greater Victoria so far this year. Police will plant a piece of property stuffed with a GPS device to the cars so they can follow the thieves. Common items taken from cars include smartphones, laptops, tools, stereo equipment, credit cards, and ID. BC Transit may have a new contract agreement with its unionized drivers and mechanics, but it still is dealing with a hangover from the long and bitter dispute. Transit riders have been kicked off their buses mid-trip at least twice this past week when the drivers' shift came to an end. BC Transit's union says the drivers were ordered to stop their buses and return to the garage at the end of their shifts, and with no relief driver to take over, passengers were left at the curb and told to wait for the next bus.
Now we've fully communicated that all routes end at a terminus, period. We apologize to our customers. It has been a very tough time at BC Transit for our employees and certainly for our customers.
The normal practice, even during the job action, it was forbidden that an operator would actually have somebody, have passengers get off the bus in the middle of a route. You always get the passengers to the end of the line. Obviously good customer service and for the safety of the passengers.
The drivers' union says this has never happened before. Normally a driver is swapped out. It even reports 8 incidents of this happening earlier this week and says it has no idea why. BC Transit says it was a miscommunication and says it's going to take a while to get back to service and service as usual since the job action came to an end nearly 2 weeks ago. Community living workers who support people with developmental disabilities walked off their jobs today. They're demanding better wages. More than 800 members of the Hospital Employees Union around Greater Victoria were picketing along a stretch of Blanchard Street for most of the day. Wages for members of the union start at just over $15 an hour, which is $1 less than it was a decade ago. It's part of a larger job action taking place in several locations across the province today and continuing again tomorrow. People who live in Victoria's Fernwood neighborhood say they are afraid they may soon see a spike in drug use and crime on their streets. Late last year, the Vancouver Island Health Authority announced plans to expand services to the Sobering Centre on Cook and Pembroke in Fernwood and the Access Health Centre on Johnson Street. The sites will offer more counseling and peer support. They'll also offer harm reduction services to clients, including increased hours for access to needles and other drug paraphernalia. Some people who live in the Fernwood area are worried that those changes will lead to an increase in drug abuse, and some are especially concerned because of the proximity of the site to George J. Elementary School. Others see the expanded services as a positive step. Last night, VIHA held a public information session at the Fernwood Community Association to address concerns and to answer neighbors' questions.
You should tell us what's going on in plain language. But once they do that, people, can we trees all work together to make this a success? Because that's what I believe, and that's what our community is about. It's about inclusion and helping people.
Does my kid's park have to be given up to make room for him? Are you going to control that person's behavior? once they've shot up and they're out and about? My experience is no.
I think the response has been mixed. I think there are people that are delighted to see this new model, and then I have people that are saying to me they're concerned about the model and they have a lot of questions about the model.
VIHA says harm reduction in drug use has been a community discussion for more than a decade now. All of the information about what's being done is available on its website, viha.ca. Blinding snow squalls hit an icy interstate highway in Detroit today. That led to a multi-vehicle pileup, and at least 3 people, including 2 children from Ontario, were killed. Michigan State Police say the chain reaction accident involving more than 24 vehicles that piled up happened during lake effect snow, which was blowing across the state from Lake Michigan. The pileup happened on a stretch of I-75 southwest of Detroit. It's a highway many Canadians take on their vacation, en route to their vacation in Florida. Drivers pulled out of the wreckage say the highway was extremely icy this morning and they couldn't see in front of them in whiteout conditions. A student in Nanaimo is not giving up her fight to help a Canadian war hero to walk again. Nearly 7 years ago, Captain Trevor Green was serving in Afghanistan. He had removed his helmet in a show of respect, and when he did, he was attacked from behind, struck by an axe which drove through his skull and into his brain. The severe head wound affects his motor functions. When the Nanaimo High School student Rebecca Lumley saw his story, she knew she had to help. She entered a national competition to win a high-tech exoskeleton, which could help Green walk again. She lost the competition, but she has not lost hope.
Well, really, we wanted 3 things. We wanted the money to be able to do it, we wanted public awareness, and we wanted to inspire other people to help out. And out of that, we got 2 out of 3, which ain't bad. So we didn't get the money, but we've got more people getting involved, and we've raised the awareness that we wanted to.
The exoskeleton costs $140,000 and requires about $10,000 a year in upkeep. Lumley won $5,000 from being a finalist in the Aviva Community Fund competition, but it's not enough. She hasn't given up. She wants to raise the money to buy the exoskeleton. To find out more or to donate, you can visit facebook.com/exoskeleton for Trevor Green. Other economic news tonight, the Parkside Resort in downtown Victoria has been sold to an island-based investment group for $23 million. The eco-friendly fractional ownership hotel opened in June of 2010 in the Humboldt Valley in downtown Victoria on the original site of the old St. Joseph's Hospital. The $23 million sale of the hotel was negotiated by a receiver and was approved in BC Supreme Court this week. It should be finalized by the end of next month. The BC Court of Appeal has overturned the conviction of a Port Alberni man found guilty of second-degree murder. Kim Rothgort is accused of killing James Shannon with a hammer in 2008. The appeal court has ruled the judge made mistakes in his instructions to the jury. Rothgort will get a new trial. His lawyer argued he was drunk and was provoked to act in self-defense when he was sexually attacked. There was confusion in a Vancouver courtroom today over the number of people who were on board the vessel when the Queen of the North crashed and sank in 2006. Carl Lilgert, who was the navigation officer on duty the night of the sinking, is charged with criminal negligence causing death. Today, the court heard different accounts of how many passengers were rescued. 99 people were reportedly taken to a nearby First Nations community, Hartley Bay. That differed from what a marine communications operator heard that night. By the end of the day, it was clear that 2 people were missing. They are the 2 who were never found and are presumed dead. Boat owners at the Delta dock at the Nanaimo boat basin are having to move after the Nanaimo Port Authority decided it is shutting that dock down for safety reasons. The dock is known as the D dock. It's one of the oldest in the basin and it needs extensive repairs. In May of last year, it signed an agreement with the Pacific Northwest Marina Group to take over operations at the basin. Since the marina will undergo significant changes under the new operator, the Port Authority decided shutting it down until that happens is the best option.
With the pilings that are in place there, we just didn't want to take the risk that there'd be a problem. And engineers have told us that it could only go so long before we need to take that into effect. So we don't want anyone hurt. We don't want any risks for anybody using it. And a lot of people use that dock in the past. So.
The Port Authority says it's been checking with the boat owners and has been working with them to help them find other docks. The D dock will stay closed until the new operators take it over and begin the necessary construction.